welcome everybody to Wisdom Wednesday. Been a couple weeks. My life has been a little bit busy trying to record this, and so excited that Bonnie is here with me. We've been trying to do this talk for a couple weeks. So I have Bonnie here with Healing with Bonnie, and she's become my new friend who's a very amazing astrologer and a mentor and helps people really understand their charts. And I feel very privileged today that she's going to help me better understand my solar return. And I know that a lot of you watching are interested in knowing more about different kinds of transits like the solar return. So I think this is the first of many conversations because I know we have some things planned, some exciting things planned with astrology coming up. So Bonnie, I just wanted to welcome you. Thank you for being a part of the community. Thank you for talking with me today. I'm really excited to have you and have you enlighten me because I always want to learn more. So thank you for coming.
Well,
Just share a little bit more about your background. I don't know, you've told me some of your
oh,
story, but if you wanted to share like a little bit about,
well, I have a lot of stories.
yeah,
So, but basically, I started studying astrology um, before computers, or about the time that computers were starting to calculate the charts for you. So, about 1998, I started learning astrology. And in the 2000s, I had quite a big community and things going on. Uh, and but then my mom had a stroke in 2005. So I sort of dropped out of the astrology world and went in my little cubby hole for quite a few years. And recently, the last few years, I'm sort of back, back in the game. And I'm a little out of touch with what the young people, want and need and learn. Um, and so I'm just trying to get in there,
well, I mean,
get in
you
the
know what?
game.
Just like I'm noticing that younger people are very interested in their zodiacs and different things about their astrology. Some of them have like the apps on their phone and they're knowing when the moon is. So
Right. And I have
like
no
prime
idea.
time. So they need you to like, teach them. Like, I tell people about their Saturn return. Some of them know about it, some of them don't. So I feel like, we have the wisdom and you've been doing astrology for a long, long time. So like now is like this is your time to like to get the younger generation in. You have this teaching background and you have this great sense of humor and this great way about you. So I think
Well, thanks. Now you're
yeah.
making me blush.
I think it's easy. It's easy to get them drawn in. So yes, I'm excited for our conversation. And Bonnie has shared with me my solar return. We did that a couple weeks ago, so I got a chance to look at it. I don't remember all of it and know all the details.
Me
You
neither.
go into it very intricately compared to like what I've done for people with solar returns. So I'm curious to like hear about it. And I know that there's going to be, people here who are going to want their solar return done. So if you're like in Leo season, this is your birthday coming up, Virgo and so on, all these times here, reach out to Bonnie because like she gave me a 3 month report with all these different transits, and it was actually really fascinating to kind of see. And Bonnie, and I told you like what you told me was right on. You were giving me some predictions for things and they were happening, like they have happened.
Wow.
It's
I'm glad. I'm always
yeah.
glad to hear that.
And so that was kind of good to have like a little bit of forewarning about that. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so people can see just a little bit from the report. Now I'm gonna move it actually.
I
Let's go.
wanted to say that was a pretty good segue right there, too, because you said something about predicting, which is not my forte, but that was a good segue into the solar return. So now I would jump into a little. Solar return is a predictive technique that we use. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, basically, it's your birthday. It's taking the actual chart, a brand new chart of the moment where the sun hits the same spot as it did when you were born. So it's returning, the solar sun is returning to its home for you. And so this chart is symbolic. We look at the chart, that would be the one on the left.
Yeah, I'm gonna blow it up a little bit more so we can see because there's two of them. So
Right. So the single chart is the solar return, and that's just a symbolic predictive tool that we use. We look at it, it sort of has its own themes. It does not supersede our natal chart. It just sort of lends you some energy this year. So when I looked at yours, I see, Virgo rising, which is not your, well, maybe it is.
It is. Yeah, so Virgo rising is my regular. That's what I always go.
Right, but that's not true for everybody.
Right.
Oh, well, there we go. The Libra rising is in the solar return.
Yeah, that's
There we
what I
go.
noticed for myself too, because I was pulling mine up like a different way than you, and I saw, oh, I'm never gonna
Right.
get away from this Libra because I'm like Libra moon, and I feel like sometimes that Libra is my downfall, and I was hoping to have a
Mm.
break from it, but no break this year because now it's even more prominent, I think, with having Libra right.
Right. It's how everybody is perceiving you. It's what you need. It's the outfit you need for the occasion. Really, if you're going to a New Year's ball, you're not wearing the same outfit as if you're going to the ballpark to watch your kids play soccer or baseball. You have to wear the right outfit. You need the right outfit for the occasion. And this occasion, you are needing Libra. And the little thing that I gave you for your birthday about empowering from detachment, right? That's more air signs. So you have a significant air sign placement in your fourth house, and you have your Libra rising in your solar return.
I have tools on.
So yeah, they're saying air baby. You're detaching a little bit emotionally. You're trying to step back. You're trying to use your reasoning a little bit more. Yeah, this is what you need. Oh, I love that you can pencil that. Thank you.
That's kind of cool because I can't do that on YouTube, but since we're doing Zoom, I can.
Nice.
And you're
I'm
right,
gonna
I
learn
have
how to do that too.
this Aquarius energy for the moon is definitely new
Yes.
for me because I don't have any Aquarius placements on my natal chart. I have 11th house energy. So I kind of feel some of that with that Aquarius, but I was actually kind of excited to see that was my moon for this year. So what does that mean for me? Because normally my moon is a Libra moon, and that's how I operate.
Right.
But now I have
So it's not too out of question for you. You're not going to, I suppose if you had a solar return Cancer moon or something, that you might feel totally out of sorts because you would not be used to feeling that energy at all. But because it's still the air signs, you're not going to be too out of your element. And the Libra rising, not too much out of your element either. But those are, that air quality is what is it's pulling from you this year. You're trying to bring it in, it's pulling it out of you. Situations are calling for it. You just your solar return is just saying, yo, tap into this part of you and use it for your own empowerment when you can. Like, hey, I'm gonna really engage with, I'm really going to encompass this Aquarius energy, and I'm going to detach, and I'm going to step back and watch the movie. Just sort of visualize your life on a movie screen. That's the way Aquarius wants to deal with things. It don't always get there, but we try. The
That's
goal
like that
is
mindful. I feel like it's like being mindful. It's like being that observer
yes,
instead of being so
perfect.
reactive. And I'm very reactive, so I feel like I will be curious to see how that impacts me. So I think that's interesting. And I normally, my fourth house is generally empty on my natal chart, but I see here for the solar return, not the case, right? Because it looks like Jupiter, Pluto, and the moon. So that's
Well, that's the energy of the chart. So this is sort of symbolic in how it's influencing this year for you. But personal hits, now it's going to look different because we just looked at this chart as itself, standalone. But what a solar return is just a transit, really. So this is sort of just a theme for the year, but its energies are really only strongest like right around the timing, because it's just a transit. These energies keep moving, right?
No, I understand. So, but it's not going to just be like yeah. So my birthday was yesterday, so definitely going to
Right.
feel that hard.
Happy
Oh,
birthday.
thank you, thank you. So, but it's not going to just go away right away, right? So I'll still
No,
feel
no, no, no.
period of time.
And it's symbolic for the path that you're walking. Like I said, they're lending you this energy for the year. That's kind of the way I look at it. So it's not more than your transit. It's not more than your natal. It's just sort of what like they gave you a friend. They just sort of gave you this energy and said, here's what you need this year. Take it and do the best you can with it.
Yeah, I'm circling this because I noticed this is a theme last year in my solar return where I had Pluto opposite the sun. And I noticed that again, it's still with me, Pluto opposite the sun, which isn't necessarily maybe the easiest opposition to have. And I get to, live that again. I felt like Pluto was very prominent. Pluto's in my first house natally. And so I feel like it does really impact me. And it's like now it's again, I have this opposition with Pluto opposite the sun. I feel
It's not
like
again though. It's not, sorry. It's not again. It's still.
still,
Ever
yeah,
since, Pluto is there all the time.
yeah.
And he's been there and it's going to be there for a good chunk, probably like 3 years, you
Right.
know?
But Pluto's not going to be opposite the sun for me all the time,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It
He's
will be.
opposite your sun all the time. And when he went back to 29 Capricorn, then it was the exact perfected opposition. And now when he moves back into Aquarius to stay, then he's out of sign, but it's still a very close opposition. He's really there. He's on you in opposition. The transformation is happening, and because it's not a direct hit, if it was a conjunct your sun, then you might feel it a little bit more impactfully. But because it's the opposition, it's just sort of this resistance. Like you keep saying, "Oh God, here he comes again," but he's been there. The transformation is just happening under the surface, slow grind. And the opposition is sort of that pull and tug. Like sometimes you're going to go one way, sometimes you're going to go the other. Sometimes you sort of try to not go. So you pop back and forth. That opposition is in your life for probably 2 years, ever since Pluto got to about 28. When he got to 28 Capricorn,
That makes sense.
27, 28 Capricorn is when you really started to feel it. And you will feel it until he's like 2 or 3 Aquarius.
Okay,
So
so
one more
I
year.
was going to say it's not for the rest of my life, right? I think I read that.
No. Just
Yeah.
one more year.
I was gonna say, like that's a tough energy, but yeah, because because I have the analytic degree, I have the that critical degree for the sun at 29.
Oh yeah, you get it from both sides. You get it from the Cancer side, and you're going to get it from the Leo side.
Right. So
Well,
like
Capricorn and Aquarius.
yeah, no, it's definitely interesting because there's a lot of things to take into account when you're looking at a natal chart, and then you're looking at a
Absolutely.
transit chart, which is a special type. And I know somebody like newer to astrology, and I'm still fairly newer to astrology. It's been under 2 years for me, and I'm still wrapping my head around different things. And I've made a lot of progress in just the last year, but there's still so much that I'm learning, and it's fascinating to me just seeing like the energy of these planets, how they impact the chart, and then the planets like in their aspects to other planets, and then what does that do? So yeah, I think that's
And
really
there's always like 10 things like 10 different things going on at the same time, simultaneously overlapping. But here's what I find, that we break it all apart into these little segments, little placements here, little aspect there. We break it all down so that we can learn it, so that we can figure it out. But the goal, these are just pieces. It still has to go back to all together. So it's just when you are working with charts for a long time, or anything really, you start to recognize the patterns. And you do enough charts and you do it for long enough, and you start to see that these 10 things that are going on are mostly the same. They're mostly the same messages, in different ways. How do you say courage? There's probably 10 words that we know to say courage. And then we could probably think of 20 other words that are similar or that are synonymous with independence. And then, so a whole list, we can make a list of hundreds and hundreds of words to describe Aries. Mm-hmm. And so then we call it Aries with this big, huge list. But still, just by saying Aries is still only a tiny little bit of the whole chart. So a whole person, a whole chart. You can't, well, I shouldn't say you can't, but it's not a complete picture with just one piece. So
So,
the solar return is a great predictive tool to help you, but it is just one more little piece.
gotcha. So as you look at my solar return, like we talked about a couple of things in the chart based on the rising and the moon
Okay.
and like that opposition, is there anything like, and I'm sure there's a lot of things we can notice, but like for you as an astrologer, looking at that, what do you feel like is really notable, like that I need to know, looking at that chart, like the one on the left that we've been talking about?
Right. I'm going to look at my big one here. So
Okay.
if you see me sort of up here, I'm looking at my big one. Um, I really, I really recognized that Moon Pluto seems to be significant for you. Now, the in the solar return, it comes in your fourth house. So that's your symbolic uh, borrowed. That's your borrowed energy is fourth house Pluto. But in the actual transit, how it's really going to hit you for a longer period of time than just this solar return, it's in your fifth house of creativity. So
Mhm.
you need finding empowerment through creative outlets, but you still have to detach in some way. So how do you think of detaching and creating and empowering? If you take all of those words, all of those little pieces, and you put it together, what does that say to you?
Yeah, I mean, the creating and empowering, I think, are easier things for me. The detaching is a tough one because I do tend to attach. Because remember, I'm Cancer Sun, so that makes me very empathic, intuitive, and connect with people. I'm Libra Moon, which makes me more codependent and connect with people. And in my Virgo, which is my serving nature, I have these three placements that like make everything more difficult for me getting drawn into situations where it's hard for me to detach. I know in theory to like detach from outcome, detach from people, just like let it flow, let it be. I know this, but in actuality, in terms of living, that's a very hard thing for me. So I am
But you
going
just
to have
answered
to
your question. You
I have
just
to
answered your question.
I have to work
Oh,
on
no. Well, the fact that you feel like you need to work on it, and the fact that it sort of calls you and is sort of a theme, a little push, nut, 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 it's like the little brother poking you, right? That's your answer right there is you need to use your creative mind
it.
to find ways to detach and to find your own empowerment from detaching. Like when you make your little, okay, I'm going to watch it on the TV, and you do your little self hypnosis and you go in there and you watch a story on the TV, then you find your empowerment there and you go, God damn, it worked.
I have to be in the
So
role of observer.
then you keep doing it. You have found a creative way to detach and empower yourself through that, whatever it is that works for you.
Right. Yeah, I am going to have to wrap my head around it. My father is Aquarius. I've lived with that energy. So I need to tap into the energy that my father has lived, been his whole
There
life.
you go.
I have to think about that because I am very much the opposite of Aquarius. So I will maybe this is the challenge I need for this year and to like look at that. I
Yes.
think that's interesting.
And that's what I mean by borrowing. We're not trying to turn you into that energy. We're
Right.
not trying to change you. We're trying to borrow a little of that energy so you get a different look at things. That's it. We still want you to be you, and we want you to have all of those Cancer emotions. We just want you to step back and look at it from an Aquarius point of view. We
Mhm.
just want you to borrow some Aquarius detachment so that you can see it and you can honor it. You can say, yeah, that hurt. And whatever it needs to be, you can acknowledge it from a place of detachment. That's all it's saying. We're not trying to be an Aquarius. We're just trying to borrow some of their good stuff.
Gotcha. So we're gonna just talk a couple more minutes, but I did want
Okay.
to mention this right hand wheel because that is also related to my solar return. So I wanted you to
Yes.
explain that to me more, like what's the difference
Okay.
between the two?
There is no difference except for, well, this is the one on the left is the same as the one in the outer wheel.
Okay.
This, the one on the left, the double chart, the bi-wheel,
Mhm.
that is a transit report. That's how we look at a transit. It's a bi-wheel. I don't know what else what other people call it. Do you know what they call it?
I don't know, but I think I've heard the same. I think I've heard that term. So okay.
Well, it's supposed to be called, a bi-wheel or a transit uh
Okay. You've seen them both.
chart, a transit chart. So the inside little wheel is your natal, and the outside is the solar return, or you could do it for any day of any moment, any day, and that makes a transit. And you see how the outer wheel affects the inner wheel. That's how we read them.
Yeah, so you know what, if I write, so everybody knows what Bonnie is saying, all this inside stuff, I'll put like an N, that's like the N for natal, whereas
There you go.
everything in this outer wheel, that's the solar return. So it's kind
Right.
of cool. I haven't looked at it like that myself. I don't think. I'll have to double check because I know I've looked at some. I don't have the fancy programming software that you have. I've used a few
Well,
free
I
resources.
bought it 20 years ago. So for like $400, I bought it for about $400 20 years ago. And then over the years, I've had to update it a couple of times. But if you do a lot of charts, it's way worth it.
I know
It's,
it'll be worth it. That's my goal someday. Like I know some people have talked about solar fire. I don't know if that's a
yes,
program you have. So someday
no,
I'm gonna get that. So
I
but
use
that's
Kepler.
okay,
I use
Kevin.
Kepler, but it's very comparable to Solar Fire.
Yeah, no,
And I have used Solar Fire, and it's a good one too. But we didn't have really a choice because we couldn't. It was a real pain in the butt to go get an online chart back in the day. So we had to have the software. If you were doing more than a couple of charts, you needed it. So it was a worthy expense. But these days you have a lot of options. So
yeah, and you had some notes here for me too. I thought this was kind of interesting. So basically, if
okay,
somebody works with you, you'll share. It talks about the sun is on the cusp of the 11th, which I know that because that is my reality. I'm literally
right,
on the border between the 10th and 11th. I like this
yes,
family of my friends and network because the community is really important to me. But also as a Cancer sun, family is important. So I feel like people I connect with, they basically like become like my family. We become
right. You make them. You create a family wherever you go. Yeah.
building this community is so important to me. I like this Leo parade through the 11th because I have that Leo energy. I have this community, right? Like I have all these people here because it's not
Yes.
enough for me just to like learn astrology by myself. I want to help other people. So
It's not as much fun if you don't bring some friends along,
for
you
sure,
know?
for sure. Let's bring them to the party. And Chiron, I know Chiron is that's a tough placement for me in the eighth house. I know I have the emotional wounding there, and I have a better understanding of all of that. And so I'm working on healing it, even though I felt like I've been in the process, but I feel like even still, thinking about it even last week, and I guess this is the time I'm supposed to be like thinking about it. So that generational
That's
trauma,
why all these things are coming up, right?
yeah, they're coming up.
That's what a transit talks about. That's what a solar return talks about. That's why we call it predictive, because we sort of talk about with you what you're feeling and what you're going through that's triggering these feelings. And hey, we can see when if you know and you're watching, you can I can tell when Chiron's gonna go into your next house or Pluto, etc. When things are happening, if you know or you look it up, I'd have to go look up when Chiron gets to your next house
Well, I see
because it's
it's going to be a while because Chiron's
right, it just got
starting the
there.
eighth house, and I have yeah.
It
So
was a bad example. It was a
no, no,
terrible
no,
example.
but I just know that it's going to be there a while. It doesn't matter. I just
Right.
know it's going to, and I know I still have to deal with it, and I have been dealing with it because I know my issues with it.
The
And
family stuff, right? The family
well,
generational trauma.
yeah, but there's some like personal like things,
Well,
like
it's Aries
yeah.
identity stuff, right?
Yeah. So and then I'm looking at this last part here about the getting a mentor. So I do have a couple mentors. And that's interesting because like that ninth house is like, I love Sagittarius energy and I have a couple placements ninth house. So it makes sense to me that like this is a time for learning because I always want to learn. I have the Gemini stellium too. So I always
Yes,
can't talk passion in passion with all of this. So like getting a mentor, and I also like being a mentor to other people too.
right.
So that's my energy. So it's nice seeing this and like seeing like, okay, this is, what's supposed to be happening for me, and it is happening for me. So it's
A-
super cool. This report that
Absolutely.
you came up with is amazing. I was really
Thank
impressed.
you for saying that.
And anybody who wants to work with you, they'll get that experience. And like, I'm just going to show this real quick. Like,
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. This was what I was looking for. I developed workbook kind of things because it's what I was looking for and I couldn't find it. Nobody did it that way or whatever. So I put it together because that's what I wanted. So what it is a personal planner that I do with your chart. And it's for 3 months, and this one is for summer. So I went from June, the June equinox, right?
yeah, like the
Solstice, the
summer
June
solstice, right? I
the
know what
June
you mean. I
solstice
know what you
to
mean.
the Libra equinox. And she has her solar return right in here. So it worked out
Right.
kind of
Thank
nice.
you.
Other times of the year, you might just have plain old transits, but
Well, and
it's it's
I
good.
like how you have the journal prompts in here. So yeah, so it's cool. So yeah, anybody wants to work with you, they can connect. What's the best way for, I'm going to stop the share here. What's the best way
Okay,
for somebody to work with
sure. Well, they can find me on my website, www.healwithbonnie.com. I also have Patreon, which I'm just learning how to use. So it hasn't,
you?
but
Okay.
I'm hoping to grow it. So if you want to come over there and be my guinea pigs and help me get that
Okay.
started, I would appreciate that. That's
So,
patreon.com, Heal with Bonnie. And that's about it. Or you can message me on Facebook, follow me. I'm trying to build up and teach everybody everything.
you're awesome.
So you talked about that
You're on our
ninth house.
community
That's
and you share your wisdom on the community too. So people can reach out to you here and just send you a message.
absolutely.
So awesome, Bonnie. So thank you for talking with
Thank
me. We
you.
did this really quick. I mean, when you do this with a client, it's a lot more elaborate. We're just trying to give it like a little bite-sized, idea.
Absolutely. It went pretty good, I think. I was able to sort of talk about how and what the solar return is and give you a little of the juice. So
Right.
I
Yeah, I
appreciate
appreciate
it. Thank
it.
you.
Well, thank you for chatting with me today on Wisdom Wednesday. I love learning more about myself with the soul return, and I hope people reach out to you. So thank you for all of that.